Hello and welcome into the SorareData show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined today by GatorGuy231, who is victory laughing. He's making hearts on the screen. Keith, you did it.
I'm just proving that I can make a heart, even though the picture may speak otherwise.
Vita says, if anyone knows a sculptor, please DM. Want to buy a marble statue of Keith. How about that?
With trying to see, I think that was more like the one I tried for the thumbnail and failed epically on. Yeah.
Yes. Peyton, all in. Nixon loves the Gareth Bale impressions. And of course, Bob Franklin on the podium. Congratulations to you guys. Frankly, I feel like we're all on the podium today because it's just there.
So what I really want to know from the chat is how many people were reply people, aka didn't read Nico's encrypted instructions.
So the number, let me get to that. Hold on. Let me get to that. Pascal, what's up? Limpy, Toby. That's right. Like the stream if you want the button. How about that? Peter's going so far as to say, because of this, we're out of the dip.
We got more time.
It's amazing. Halogen, what's up? Dream of Berlin legend card for Keith. How about that? Hey, Eagle, Rui, Rare Knight. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. I realized that the which game is today? France, Spain. Yeah, coming up in 43 minutes. I don't know if we'll go that long. Maybe we will. We'll see what happens. Tyler said, have you seen the state of the Copa Rare rewards? Holy moly, there's no cards left, and they're giving Sean Johnson's a tier 2. I feel like that's
I didn't go that far. They just had the tier 2 issue for Challenger, and they fixed it like day of. So, yeah.
Anyway, what were we just saying? Something about the button?
No, the Nico's instructions.
Right. So I saw the number. I thought it might be a trick. The whole like it if you want the button or comment if you want the button. And because I saw the comments and then I was like, wait, the comments are like, if you don't want it. I'm like, why would people not want it? And I think from the feedback or the comments that I've seen elsewhere, I think there is a small group of people who think this is going to be the only way you can submit lineups.
Oh, I'd never thought of that.
And they were like, no, I don't want that. I want to use Sorare. And it's like, of course you can just do it on Sorare.
Why not both?
It's the people who are like, I don't want this anywhere near it. They don't have to do it. And it's like, you don't have to use it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Alan just says, now I want a button for my Excel sheet where I really do my lineups.
You can contact at Sorare.com. Good luck.
It's great. People can't follow simple like comment instructions. How are they supposed to understand Peter Stoyanov's Medium posts?
Awesome.
Agent Cooper, first live show in a while. Welcome back. I never follow Sorare updates. Just watch your streams for all the Sorare info and updates. Perfect. Yeah.
You just gave validation to Laird's job. Thank you.
A little bit. What is Nicholas? It's got some weird number in it somewhere. What's his?
I don't know. It's like N2. That was actually one of the hardest parts of the tweets for a while. Was when I was setting them way in advance, it would not catch it half the time. So it has to
whoa! You didn't manually do one every single day at the exact same time?
I mean, we can get into whatever you want, but that was the destruction of said day counter.
Sorry, I was looking for his tweet and I saw this other one.
Oh boy.
He retweeted or quote tweet, whatever the hell they call it these days, from Sky Sports Fantasy Football that said, after an amazing 15 years and engaging well over 1 million players in that time, we have taken the difficult decision to not run Sky Sports Fantasy Football for the upcoming season. And he says, we can help.
Didn't know what that was or that existed. But come on over. Like Peter said, the dip is over.
So this is it. Who wants the button will abide by the results of the vote. Comment if you don't want it. and like it if you want it. We are currently at 1,200-ish likes. And if we get to 2,000 likes, we're going to give away some SorareData memberships.
I missed that one. That's awesome. And Nico retweeted that too.
He did.
Reposted. Sorry, let's get our vernacular correctly.
Yes, correct. Paco said this button stuff is the highlight of the weekend, which is a great thing to say on a Tuesday. So GG's Gator Guy. Oh, Gator Guy, double GG's. How about that? But yeah, cheers to you. Congratulations on beating Nico.
So I'll just say this and maybe like open up the conversation on this. I'm actually incredibly uncomfortable with thank you, especially when you take a how many day departure was it? Like 26 days?
Was there a departure? I didn't notice anything. You said 77 today, right? Is that what it was?
I mean, it's day 77 of deciding that something I wanted, I guess. But Peter DM'd me, and I felt like what I was like thinking came out well with it, which is essentially like the whole reason that we wanted the button. First off, button, not my idea. Not even close. Like, hell, I don't even remember the first time I heard it, but essentially it was when I started doing this was you made a comment on some sort of stream how you can auto import from a few sites for basketball and baseball. And I was like, wait, that exists? Why the hell does that not exist in football where there's more lineups than anywhere else? And this was at the same time that we had just switched over the new interface, all the new divisions, and it was taking a long time. Like it was already taking a long time in the previous world and the previous iterations of the game. And now it's taking even longer. Like you and I have discussed on this stream, there's not even like a counter. There's not even a lineup screen. You end up counting green checks and then comparing against SorareData to make sure that you got all your lineups in. That's inefficient. And so it's like, like there has to be a better way. DFS, we have what's called CSV uploads. You go to a third-party site, you build, and DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports, I know a lot of people don't know that, a lot of these tournaments for the bigger sports, you make 150 lineups for one tournament. So just imagine.
And like enough people do it.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that does it seriously and makes that many lineups has to use that import. So it's like, what did you say Nanzo was at? Nanzo's at like 120 lineups a week? Or was that?
Yeah, there are a couple people who were over 100, like before the European season ended.
So just like, I'm at 26 and I bitched out for however many days straight and then counted as 77,
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that many people who are entering everywhere. Like obviously people like Pavel do it.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, Vita did this the other day. I think it's 136 lineups that you'll be able to submit plus special weeklies.
Okay.
Like if you entered everything. And granted, it's not, we're not expecting everyone to enter everything. But even just half of that is almost 70.
And that's what I was kind of saying to Peter is one, like the point I was trying to make that I didn't make at all was essentially I don't really like this wasn't my idea. This was just me going like, this sucks. There is a better way. I kind of asked you, I'm like, Laird, if I do this, you guys could actually do this, right? Like, I'm not making this up. Like, you guys could actually do this if asked. And you're like, yeah, it's just a terms of service issue. And here we are. And I think the coolest part about all of this is, I'll say twofold. One is now I feel like, while it never held me back from like making 60 lineups, like that's buying cards, that's all that work. But when you started thinking about building more lineups, you actually did. At least my mental calculation was, I've got to figure out like that's extra lineups to build. That's extra time to not only build those and make all those decision-making gaffes, but then to go ahead and go, here's my lineup. Now I need to bring it over. And I'll say one last thing, and then I'll get off my soapbox here.
This whole show is a soapbox. Don't.
Okay, well then I'll
don't you worry about it.
Hold on, let me go. Can I go get a more comfortable soapbox? But I at least found this. editing on Sorare right now. I've gotten to the point I like the new interface overall, but editing those lineups is brutal. Like I felt like it used to be able to edit ones better before than you do now. Like there's like an extra like 2 clicks in there. I can't tell you where those 2 clicks came from, but there's like an extra click or 2.
Yeah.
And it's just hard. So like if you need to make changes, like I wait till the last possible minute to put in Sorare because I do not want to make changes when I do it. So this all helps everything.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I think the big thing that's missing that maybe gets kind of the problem solves itself is because you can't see all of your lineups on one page right now, like before the game week starts, that if you are taking like somebody from All-Star and going into Challenger, like you have to like click on Challenger, load your Challenger lineups, make the change and all of that. And I think it will be easier. Like I think all of the little things that we're bothered by will become easier when we don't have the global comps. Although maybe the special weeklies they'll just make it as just as complicated as they are anyway. But the button just like at least allows you to send them all to Sorare and then you can like review them there. And if you have to make a change, I would argue it's actually easier to like go back to SorareData, make a change 100%. And like import it again. Yeah. So like, yeah, I think it's a win for anybody who wants to just have an easier process.
And that's the same with people that do it for daily.
Yeah.
Is oftentimes that's easy. Although like I remember way back when it was actually the opposite, that when they first got it, like they had like a global player swap, but that was like your only advantage. You couldn't like upload twice, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But I believe that's been fixed like long. And that's the coolest thing about the button and like your interface with servers. I know it's going to keep changing and adapting. It's just cool to finally like be here where this is an option, right? Like this is an option. And I think the other thing I was thinking about coming into this is I saw a couple in the comments on like Nico's, like people that didn't want it. I think there's something that some people have against like third-party software things for big sites, and they go, why do you not have like a better lineup builder like that has more options than SorareData? And I've always, I'm in real estate, you know, people use Zillow over here a ton to search for homes. They can search the normal system that I'm on as an agent to find homes, but people prefer Zillow. They like the colors better. They like how they present things. And I feel like that's like the same thing. Even if Sorare were to spend all this time to do a lineup builder so you didn't have to go to SorareData, I still just might prefer the way you guys do it. And that's okay.
Yeah. I think there's also a bit of, sorry, there's the way I want to say this and then the way I should say it. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it.
It's okay. You have a Sorare shirt on. It's all right.
Oh yeah, there we go. So not everybody uses SorareData, and obviously it's a tool that people with more lineups and more cards tend to use because it's just easier once you get to a certain point. And the kind of, I don't even want to call it backlash, but basically the people who are like, why would you even need this, are the people who probably aren't using it anyway. And I did hear some feedback today that the lineup builder is too helpful and that the button is going to make it look even more attractive and that it's making it too easy for people to play Sorare.
Sorry.
And I thank you for recognizing that, because that's the point of it. It's to make that part of the process easier. But the whole like Sorare should have all of this stuff on their own. Like, just like you said, there are so many fantasy sites that have like reliable third parties and multiple. It's not like there's just like one that people use to like get better at the game. And I don't think it's ever something that Sorare need to move in a direction of like, no, we actually want to like block off all third parties and everybody should just start on our web. And it's like, it's just not how any of like fantasy sports work. And so those who are more involved in the game tend to be SorareData Star members, and it's just a tool that they would benefit from.
100% agree.
We said that's why we use SorareData to make it easier. Yeah. Because
there
Sorare
is
has
an
a
easy
mission.
button. There is that easy.
Not yet. Sorare has a mission and a need to educate new users and have a simple enough interface for most people to operate with, which is exactly right. Well, at SorareData, we focus on engaged users with higher experience in fantasy games, right? Like most people are not submitting 50 lineups. And so you don't want Sorare's website to be built for people who to make 50 and 100 lineups. Like it's as simple as that.
And hold on. That line you just said is like why this celebration of the button is big, because it put your lineups on Sorare, you realize it is not meant for you to be there doing 30 lineups. Like you literally want to tear your hair out at the end of it. So
Blue Tomato said FIFA Ultimate Team has third-party sites to compare prices, build lineups on, and so on. Yeah. Excuse me.
Exactly.
JVIC said, I think the third-party thing is mostly a security concern. Like, what if SorareData gets hacked and my lineups get deleted? Something along those lines. I don't know.
That's Vita's concern and SorareData's concern.
Right. Vita said 90% of people submit only limited lineups and around 80% submit fewer than 5. Which is right. So like if you're doing 5 lineups, you don't need an export or an import button. I don't remember what we're calling it, Vita. Right. And you'll need to validate it on Sorare's side anyway. Meaning like once you upload it, you'll have to confirm it or something like that.
So do you think, actually, I'm going to step away. Nanzo asks the question of the day.
So when button? Soon?
It's good by me.
That's all I got.
Hold on. Will there be, so this is the announcement of the announcement?
Nico said that he wants a button. What Nico wants, Nico gets. Simple as that.
So do you think there's any rationale, or is it's just like extrapolating to say this opens up people to make more lineups? I think that that's aggressive, but I also think I'm more apt now to go like, it won't be a extra strenuous process.
So I don't think it's easily comparable to be like, yeah, this is an hour of your time that you have to do something else. And to do, what's that something else? Go buy more cards to make more lineups? But you could. I mean, I think it's, I don't know how many people are like holding back on Sorare because they're like, it just takes too long to put lineups in. But I think once people realize how much easier it is to like organize your cards in our lineup, like I think the SorareData lineup builder also just makes it easier to make lineups, not even like to get them onto Sorare, but like there's so much more information in the SorareData lineup builder that you can find doing all these other manual things if you want to. That's fine. But if you want to take that hour of research and turn it into literal like seconds on SorareData, like you can do that. And I think this is an interesting one. Vita says, I may get back to limited. So Vita sold all of his limited.
And go up to Peter too. This is something he said a few times as well.
Oh, I'm buying, baby. Peter, do you remember the deadline today?
There's another button helper.
My favorite is the guys who are on like the West Coast of the US who like took game weeks to realize that the game week deadline had been moved up an hour. And they were like, oh, so thank you for the notification on Sorare while I was sleeping to say the deadline's in 2 hours.
Hold on. If we want to go down that route, my favorite is the Sorare push notification with like 15 minutes left that says the game week starts in 1 hour. I don't know if yours delays like that. It drives me absolutely nuts. Like, I don't know the tech side. I don't know how push notifications work, but I feel like the program should push a notification at 1 hour when it's 1 hour.
So I'll add to the slight frustration on that. So I got a notification yesterday about the MLB deadline coming up in 2 hours. And so that actually notified me of like an early deadline. And I was like, oh, good, it's an early deadline. And I'm like, wait, is it in like 5 minutes? And when you go to Sorare, I was like out. So I was on the app and it doesn't tell you how much long, like there's no countdown like there is in football. So it's just like, it's starting today. And I'm like, when does it start?
So what was it? Not today, but this previous one. I think it got changed by an hour in the middle of the night or something like that. I don't remember. I was really drunk. It got changed by an hour. And I was out
the football one.
Yeah, for July 4th. It got changed, right?
It's all the entire Euros.
I know, but like, all right. I don't know if I was just drunk because I was. But I hadn't done lineups. I'm like, crap. I'm going to have to wake up. And I'm going to sleep and counting on my fingers how many hours away, because it said like, and I waited till the next whole hour because the little timer thing is broken on there. And so it said like 8 hours. So it's 8 a.m. I had done no research. I'm like, I guess I'm getting up at 6. And then I got up at 6 and it was like 3 hours. And I'm like, I think I'm a pretty good drunk counter, but maybe I'm not.
Maybe the MLB one is actually, I'm pretty sure on mobile it doesn't have the timer, and maybe it doesn't in football and I just happen to know when it is. That's kind of the other thing with MLB is that the deadline changes depending on when the first game is, which is shocking to people who don't play MLB and play football and wonder why they're submitting lineups hours before the first game.
NBA was the same, right?
NBA is the same. Yeah. It's nice. As long as the push notification is, on time.
So while we have some time, is the button going to change your setup at all? Like how you do things?
Absolutely. But I'm not quite sure what I do at that time. So like,
bye.
Obviously. But anyway, no. So like my normal process for like the Friday deadline is I don't put any lineups in until basically an hour before.
Yep.
And what is always like shocking to me is that by the time I'm done, there's like 6 minutes left. And I was like, and I'm just like, where did that 54 minutes go? And the absolute worst is when you count the check marks and it's different. And you're just like not sure which one is different, like which one you missed. And I think, so basically Friday morning for me, like the deadline's 10 a.m. for me, the normal one. I watch Quinny and Harry. Like I have it on a screen while I'm like getting my lineups together. It's great for like any new news or whatever that comes out and I have to make any adjustments. So the reason I don't put my lineups in earlier is if there is a change that comes about and then I have to change everything on Sorare, it's just an absolute disaster.
Yep.
And it's mostly like taking one guy from one lineup to another. And the fact that you can't save an incomplete lineup. What you can do is, actually, this is the one that I have the biggest problem with. If you go to change a lineup and you click the already lined up in another lineup or whatever.
Yep.
So you can put that player in your new lineup. But I'm fairly certain, and if I'm wrong, I apologize so rare that I'm wrong about this, but also you need to do a better job of making it different. I'm fairly certain that the icon that they use for an empty lineup is the same as an incomplete lineup.
I think so.
So I don't know which one is now like incomplete as opposed to empty. So then I have to like click this one. So I go into my new incomplete strawberry lineup and I'm like, oh wait, it's raspberry that actually has the lineup. For those of you who are unaware, I name all of my lineups after entries, excuse me. And so anyway, that needs to change for me because I can't. So anyway, what I will do is make the changes on SorareData and then just blast them over.
Well,
Vita says, now I'll have 2 drafts until the last moment, and I'll choose 2 minutes before the deadline which one I export, praying the internet gods there's no network. 2 minutes sounds insane.
Okay. We haven't brought up a PSU fans thing, but I'm doing it. You know Sean's like dream, right? To do with what Vita just said. Sean's dream. I'm pretty sure he will confirm this publicly. You need to ask next time. But is that the hour before the site crashes?
Because he puts his lineups in early?
Yeah, and he wants everybody to be punished.
Yeah.
I mean, he says it jokingly, but it's like most things with Sean. Jokingly is the truth.
There is no way he's joking about that. In fairness,
I get it.
We've all done that after like submitting an auction bid, and we're like, which used to happen all the time. The good old days.
That's where it's completely okay. You know, there was
because you're stealing from Sorare, you're not screwing over all the Sorare managers.
Oh, so I'll just go ahead and admit like the terribleness. Over the weekend there was a daily fantasy MLS contest where the Houston game got moved up, and I was sitting there kind of hoping that nobody noticed and that people like missed some like the lineups dropping, and all that ended up happening is if you did see it and put anybody in, you took a big 0 because that game got postponed. So it was like reverse karma.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's actual karma.
Yeah, no, that was actual karma for being a terrible person and rooting for.
Exactly. Chris said, has anyone heard team news and changed the team on SorareData but forgot to change it on Sorare? It all depends on the amount of time. I will say that the deadline stream with Harry and Quinny, sometimes Quinny's like, oh, I forgot to do this lineup. And I'm looking and it's like 3 minutes to the deadline. And I'm just like sweating, making sure he can get this lineup in. And then he's like, oh, training. And I'm like, oh my God, just get it in.
So I wanted to mention my crazy Friday lineup. Process, behavior, it's terrible. So I have to take the kids. So normally I have not put lineups in at all the night before. I
haven't done it in years, and I really should. But
I really should, because that's how you don't buy Daniel Neuer 45 minutes before the Euros and all this stuff, right? But it's behavioral now.
Yeah,
that I kind of need. I don't know if you have this. I kind of need the deadline.
Oh, like the Mission Impossible music playing in the back of your head as you're trying to like.
I haven't gone that far, but maybe I need to like get back in it. But I just need to know there's a looming deadline, and I need to get on it. Like the people that the game week locks and they go right on to SorareData. That used to be me. As we discussed,
like for the next game week.
Yeah, I love those people. There was a moment that was me, and it's so long gone. I want to be there. I just can't. I need the deadline. So I normally wake up like 6:30, 6:45. I have about 30 minutes of peace before one of the kids gets up. Then I got to get the kids breakfast and stuff ready. So then I go back to the computer for a little bit longer. Got to leave at 8 to get the kids to preschool. So then 8 to 8:30 is just thinking about the lineups that I still have to do. Then I get home. 8:30 to 8:45 is like finishing the last couple lineups. It's a sweat. And then I have a call at 9:10. And I have to, like, this is like a full scale, and I got to be focused. So I've got about 8:45 to 9:10 to get the lineups in. And then at 9, as soon as the call gets over at 9:40, I've got about 20 minutes to try to make sure that I didn't screw anything up. Do some quick searches to make sure nothing else came out while I was on a conference call. And like till 9:59, I'm like panicking and like refreshing. And I don't know why I do this to myself, but I feel like the button might save that madness for me from about 8:45 to 10.
So Hey Eagle said, I needed just like homework in school. Always did that stuff last minute.
Yeah.
I was the same way. Always gets done.
Always.
In time, like, no problem.
And can we be honest too? This is how I feel. This might not be reality. I feel like when I do work early, it's complete shit. because I know I still have the deadline. I know I'm going to come back to it. So I need the pressure.
So I'm gonna justify this to not make you feel as bad about it, because you want to make your decisions with as much news that's available.
Sure.
And so doing anything beforehand, particularly days earlier, Ricoman said that they're early team maker. Like anything you do way ahead of time. Before I finish this, I have lineups for game week 502 already built. So
I don't even know what game week it is. So congratulations.
Yeah. However, putting them into Sorare early just leads to like a tremendous amount of work that is completely unnecessary. Whereas on SorareData, I can easily, if I just want to start over, like new draft, go. And there's no, like, I think what we do is optimal in terms of making sure you know as much as you possibly can to submit your lineups.
Well, I think too, maybe where the habit came from, and it's only been justified by the way we do things too, but is, when SorareData started doing, the community lineups, if you go like right away, you've got like the third string goalkeeper that somebody thought was funny or just misclicked that said he's in. And it used to be like in Cat 240 that made him like a AAA because he was, he was a 0. So that you had like incomplete lineup predictions. So it was really you as the user knowing your gallery and going, okay, this guy's going to start, this guy's not, which as your galleries get bigger is really a lot harder. And then it was also, Play Sharper. They normally updated like most of the people. I feel like it was like the night before, but sometimes not like until the morning of.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go, okay, I'm going to put together these lineups, but I might have to scrap them anyways because I didn't realize that guy's on 5 yellows or that guy missed training. And I had no idea that a guy from Bastica's missed training. Like, how do I know that? Right. So I think that's maybe where the habit got into place, was just going, I don't really want to redo these. Because for me too, I'm completely biased once I made a lineup. Once I made a lineup I love, it's really hard for me to move off stuff.
Yeah, but sometimes you're just forced to.
I know, but I always like come from like the suboptimal place. I'm like, oh, Teddy Tuma was in there. I knew I was going to win because Teddy was there, and now he's not.
Right.
And I'm just like, I'm always comparing like, oh, freaking A. Now I got to play this guy instead of playing Teddy the GOAT. Like stuff like that. Or,
knowing you, check the pick scores and you're like, who might be better to put in here?
Let's be real. I'm just like, oh my God, my next guy, Teddy was at home and you want me to play an away guy? Really?
Right.
Really?
Somebody, I'm trying to scroll back in the comments here. Who was it? It was something about always playing Messi. Even if he was 100% DNP, you just play him anyway.
Well, especially you with 501, the first lineup you made at every single one was Messi. Once he's back, yeah, exactly.
So part of the reason why, and for those of you who are not SorareData Star members, if you are a SorareData Star member, you can make lineups like in the future. And the reason I do this is just to see if I like have any holes, or if I have like the peak Teddy Tuma matchup and I'm like, I don't want to put him with, heaven forbid, 1, let alone 4 away guys. And so it just like, I'm not like set on those lineups. Usually for the next, like when the game week actually comes, I'll just rebuild them. But it does at least like give you an idea of like what is coming. And so, and again, because it's so easy, I mean, it's so easy to just start over, like create a new draft. And now you have a brand new thing on SorareData. Like the actual lineup building process, not the lineup submitting process, but the lineup building process is just light years easier on SorareData. And I realize that's coming from somebody who literally works for SorareData. There is a icon here that says SorareData show, but it's like, it's not even comparable.
Well, it's like It's like the one comment. I don't like that Sorare is going to do all this because they make it too easy for people. There's like your ad. Vita, clip that guy. There's your advertisement for the front of the page, right? Like, you guys make it too easy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Payne said, so we think this theoretical approval button is going to be available for all sports. And Vita said, theoretically, we need to discuss it with the U.S. team. But theoretically, it can be done. Theoretically. Anyway.
Ooh, cryptic with Vita now.
Wait until the next upgrade. You'll have something even better soon, but let someone else tweet mysteriously about it. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff coming from SorareData in the next 2 months.
So I just learned something new as you were talking. Being a star member, and despite I've actually had this from a couple people in DMs, I do not work for SorareData. I think I should just mention that. I use SorareData.
All the questionable stuff Keith says, trust me, he does not work here.
Questionable, man. I hope to be as transparent as they come, but I did not know that not being a star member, you couldn't work ahead. So when I was not a lazy Sorare player and a much better Sorare player than I am now, if you work weeks ahead, especially if you only have a couple lineups and it doesn't like, it's not like this huge thing. I'm assuming Nanzo is not working 10 game weeks ahead, making 120 lineups. That sounds like a nightmare. But that's how you can like identify these island game weeks type of thing, which, you know, it's a little more difficult now without All-Star in the future and things. But if you can identify those island game weeks, or, you know, oh God, I can't remember the guy's name. There was a user before. This is like 2 years ago, but I can never say Az right. AZ. How do I say that correctly? Oscar?
It's AZ.
Just say AZ? Okay. I'll just take it from the pro over here. So he saw that AZ had like a really easy, I think it was like Europa qualifying schedule, you know, like the games before. And the dude bought up all their players. And I remember 1 week he won like 9 tournaments. It was like 8 or 9 tournaments. The rewards ended up being terrible, but he still won. The rewards were terrible, but if you can look ahead, because those cards too, by the time those games started coming up and AZ was minus 9,000 at home, like people wanted those cards. So if you were just purely just trying to flip or try to make a profit that way, like working ahead not only can make your lineups better, but could see you just get an opportunity that you can maybe like, look at all these Euros people, all the people that bought way early for Euros. If they decided to sell before that first game week, those prices were getting absurd in relation to what they were.
You didn't even need to be weeks ahead of time.
Yeah, just a couple of days, right?
Hours, if it's you.
I mean, Neuer, I could have made $100 in 20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah. So what I was doing when I got Messi.
Okay.
And I think we discussed this. I may have mentioned it here, but one of the big things that like Sean has talked about on this channel previously, and we've discussed it. Basically, like if you have elite cards, you want to surround them with other great cards. You don't want to play Messi and then like 4 just like absolute shitters, because you're not really taking advantage. With that?
Teddy Tuma in Ligue 1. You wanted Teddy Tuma on USG.
Right. And so I think, so basically what I did was, and maybe it was when you got Messi, because you were like, I want to look
it was
to
me.
team.
It was me.
That's exactly what it was. Yes.
It was
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But you basically went ahead in the lineup builder and you were like, obviously Messi, you always play Messi, but you were like, when Messi is at home, who else do I have? And that's like the single biggest way, like reason I move ahead in the lineup builder is I look at my best cards.
That's a great point.
And I look at their fixtures and I say, what's their best one? And I go to that game week and I say, what else do I have? Based on the transfers from this recent window, I have nobody left for any of the good players I have. However,
you got a hell of a Saudi team.
Qatar, not even Saudi. I have a hell of a Qatari team. Anyway, but like that's the biggest reason why I build ahead.
Yeah.
Is because the opportunity to see early whether I'll need somebody or somebody's coming up with a terrible run of matches, and it's just being able to get the most out of your cards, out of your like best cards. And I think that part of the lineup builder is like invaluable.
So it's funny. I didn't even think about it, but I forgot that I did that. And my first game week with Messi, like, because I bought him for the following season. There was like a little bit international in between, but like I had bought for the that was my when I won All-Star Plus. As I built for, there was like Messi was I think the only MLS game. It was like the kickoff for the season versus RSL.
Okay.
And made sure that it was all set up. Had 2 good super rare matchups, had 3 good rare matchups, and because I ended up buying a goalkeeper. I don't know if you remember, I bought a goalkeeper for that lineup. I bought Osako. That's why I bought my I don't know say his first name, but Osako from Sanfrecce. Because I had a show super rare.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that'd be a good combo. They have a good home matchup. So yeah, that's a great point with the lineup builder is, if you've got that one card in your lineup, and that's another good point too, is if you do have like that one super card in your lineup or in your gallery and you don't have a lot of other good stuff around it, is also just seeing like, hey, like this is the game week. Like you have a Cucho. You won a Cucho one time and you have a Cucho and he's home versus Toronto and he is going to score 2 goals and take 11 shots. And you go, oh, I had a miniature RSL stack or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they happen to be at home versus Austin. The stars are aligning. You just need one like midfielder. And like, that's a really good way to see, okay. And maybe you don't have to go buy, Carlos Gil, Lucho Acosta. Maybe you can get ahead of time and just scout that like, hey, this is Eric Tommy's day to shine. It's never Eric Tommy's day to shine, by the way. As an owner, it's never Eric Tommy. Sure. But you can get ahead and maybe see the guy that's on the up. Maybe like here's a good example of a guy. Christian Espinoza has some great splits at home. Like
always overlook that guy.
But it's specific because away they never have the ball, so he just gets the ball and he crosses it. At home they get a little bit more possession and he allowed him into the box. So like you could pick a guy like that's not too expensive and be able to put with the rest of your team. So
I had to look him up immediately.
Or my favorite split guy ever, Hector Herrera. But I think Espinoza's on there too. Hector Herrera is the best split guy ever for this example, though.
In MLS.
Yeah. Well, shoot, he might be one of the best in the world to show for it because his home away splits are just crazy.
So he's got a 65 average over in all of his starts for Houston, but at home it's 69.8, and away it's 60.
Yeah, so it's 10, which is wild.
60 is still really good, by the way.
Still really good, but 70 is Rodri territory. Speaking of that, are you playing Rodri here in 1 minute?
I think so.
All right.
You can imagine I'm taking Rivals very seriously.
I made a lineup earlier. I got the little notification that said 5 out of 5. And we're good.
Goat Spinoza versus SKC this week.
Is he home?
I think so. No, he is.
Because you know why? Because Sporting Kansas City, horrific away from home. They're horrific at home too, but the extra enunciation on the horrific away.
So what's funny is that I have Shallowy still.
I'm sorry. That's completely my fault.
I was like, oh, who do we have next? And it's like away, and I'm like, oh, and then I saw against San Jose, and I'm like, Yarby?
Then you're just like, man, God, I have way too many players from San Jose and Kansas City. That's what's wrong with your summer. I have a lot of both. So that's what's wrong with my summer.
Peter said, what if they're horrific home and away? It's like DC United.
Dude, Speaking of that, not to make this an MLS show, but they were fun for like 2 weeks.
It felt like Click and Benteke were just like every single
even
game.
Like Jared Stroud was half decent. You were sitting over here going, "Can Pedro Santos come in?" And now Pedro Santos is starting, and they are horrible.
So bad, so bad. Fripp says Casio has an L15 of 0 this week. He plays for Cruzeiro, I believe he plays for now.
I just learned he's still living. I forgot about that guy. You know what? Something not to take us off topic, but I'm gonna go just off topic and then we can end. I remember what I was thinking about, but just realizing like a Casio name is a really good name of Sorare 3 years ago, and it felt like at times there weren't that many goalkeepers, and any search that you would do, Casio would pull up and like, oh, I might have to go get a Casio. And now there are just so many goalkeepers. So many.
It's so many. You're right.
So many. I'll bring this home on my own gallery and Peter's last comment, where Peter has Tyler Miller is atrocious. There is no reason. I'm going to take shots at myself and you, Peter. There's just no reason to own Tyler Miller, William Yarbrough, or Tim Milia. And he look, but I own two.
Yeah.
Not even the button can fix that, Laird.
Yeah, just see how fast you can get Tim Mealy into your lineup on Sorare.
The button must have let me down. Why are they there?
Yeah.
Get them out.
Does anyone know if the MLS Olympic boys are playing this game week coming up or not? I have no idea. Come on, I have all three. Keith, did you think this button, you did 77 days? Did you?
I didn't even think about that. I thought it kind of fessed up to a little bit.
So why did we talk about it today? Did you say you were going to redo it?
Redo what?
Like to start it up again? Sorry. So Keith and I discussed this morning.
Yeah.
He was like, I think I'm going to tweet again. And I was like, what you should do is just number it as if you've gone forever and just pretend like you never stopped.
Yeah. Definitely based on some of the comments, some people did not realize at all that it had stopped.
Might have been Nico, actually.
Well, then I started playing. I got tagged in a couple other chats. I started playing the game. Maybe it was my plan. And Nico was like, where's the guy that was tweeting me every day? Did he? Because it literally for like 40-something days, I had set them. They were 8 a.m. my time every single time. And the thought was just to kind of annoy the crap out of Dan and Nico. So at just some point they brought it up, right? And we know that, what was it? Was it Ramble? They talked about it briefly? Like really briefly. Like really, they had a couple of the tech guys. And I get the DM from Havers like, sorry, man, Dream's dead. Because they asked him, they flat out told him that's nothing on Haber. They flat out told them like wasn't happening.
So I think,
or it wasn't on the docket, or they hadn't really even considered.
Yeah, like I think it was with Guy and Momo, who are not like responsible for that. So I think it was one of those that were like, that's not really our department.
Like that's way
talked about, but I'm not sure it's happening.
And probably it's like one of those like we have all these other priorities on the board, and that's not there. So like
right. The thought that I had today was day 77.
Yes, the 77th day since it started.
So I think, what if like 7 is Nico's like lucky number, and we got to 77, and he was like, "Oh, maybe we should do it today."
I have no idea what the reason. We caught him mid coffee break in the afternoon, and he saw that, and he's like, "You know what?
Maybe they were worried you were actually going to leave.
So
maybe
that's what I was saying.
Tweeting, and they were like, "Oh no."
That's before I got sidetracked with the Haver thing. That's what I was joking. I decided it was like creative manipulation of why I forgot to tweet for a couple of days. Was maybe I wanted to go away. They worried about the guy that was so invested that he tweeted at them every single day for 40-something days. Then getting kind of worried, did that guy sell out his gallery? Is he gone? That's not good if he's gone, because he was wanting like more. Right. I don't know that. But what actually happened is I forgot a couple of days. Just summer schedule was busy. I decided that I didn't want to just keep doing the same auto tweet that said the same thing every single time. I should customize it, have some gifts that are more like ready for whatever's happening. I started doing like Euros ones for whoever was playing that day. I was like, okay, Germany's playing today. Tony Kroos. France is playing today. Got to give Nico some Mbappe. All these little things. And then I forgot for like 4 days and nobody said anything. And I'm like, okay, maybe just nobody actually cares that much. Maybe this is just something I was doing for myself. And the likes, this is why the likes are important, by the way. I'm in soapbox. Likes were going down. I'm like, okay, so people don't like this idea. Just like Laird here. Give him some likes. Makes him feel good for the next day. But all of that went through the head. And I've had multiple days. I'm like, should I start it up again? I'm like, I started up again. I need to go back to hardcore committing, spend like 2 hours doing scheduled tweets, all this stuff. And I was just like, I don't know. And then this morning, you slide in there and you're like, it'll be a great day for you to start it back up again. And here we are.
Blue Tomato said ChatGPT would have helped. ChatGPT did help.
I tried it for a little bit. I tried to tell ChatGPT to have a little bit of fun with it too, and it was terrible. I think I sent you a couple of them. It was like, the deadline is ended. Oh no, red card.
This is the best theory here. Toby said they have in-house data that shows that you buy the most cards on the platform within 30 minutes of the deadline, and they couldn't risk losing that.
They're like, this guy is always searching the market 30 minutes before the deadline. It's actually 15.
Yeah, I think, and again, I don't know how much this is actually going to influence anyone to make any decisions, but the being able to spend more time on, are these the lineups I want to play? Do I want to play any other lineups? Instead of, I have an hour left, I have to get my lineups in, and spending the hour that way. I think it's a benefit for anybody.
It's you literally think about it. Even if you are only taking 10 minutes, if you have 6 lineups and it takes you 10 minutes to bring them over, or just to input on Sorare, that's 10 minutes twice a week now that you have to go do other stuff. And the reality is whether it's so related or not so related, if we can find a way in this crazy world that we're in to get 20 minutes back of our life, like, I'm all in. And I'm really excited about it.
And it's time that it's not like we're replacing enjoyable time.
It's like, there was nothing. It's horrible. Yeah. There's nothing fun about it. You know what? I'm gonna take it back. There was a couple fun moments. I think you, me, and Black all were trying to time ourselves, like what the quickest we could do. I actually had a little bit of fun, kind of like a challenge, but that gets really old really fast.
Yeah, it does. What just always got me was that it was actually longer than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And that's without having to make any changes. And it's just, yeah.
And before we end, I actually want to make one more comment. I remember at some point, like, I think when I first started doing the tweets, I actually got a couple people that replied about like they didn't want it, or they didn't see a need for it. And I remember one specifically that was like, I really like, God, what was it? I really like inputting on Sorare, even though I'm built on SorareData, so I can make like gut changes. It was something along those lines. And it's great when that gut change is correct. And how many times has that gut change resulted in a 0 or a DNP or all these horrible things? And the reality is when we build lineups with the most time allocation and the most resources at our disposal, those are going to be our best lineups. The gut feel is just bullshit.
It's even more dangerous because the one time it worked, you're like, oh,
that's
worked.
all you remember. It's all you remember.
Yeah.
It's that recency bias.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad to have that, because I will be honest with that user. I've done it many times. And every single time I hate myself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The big changes minutes before the deadline, which run counter to the decision you made after all of the research you did.
After all the thinking, all this. And what Peter said too, that's definitely happened to me too. My captains always change on the site. I do a lot of captain changing.
Just pick the
maybe
guy
it's not Evander. Maybe it's Lucho. The only like guarantee captain is Messi.
Yeah.
Which is just a rule. If you play Messi in the line, it doesn't matter. He's captain.
Yep. All right. Thank you everybody for joining. We're gonna go watch France, who are up 1-0. Thanks to Kolomuani. There it is. The hearts are working. Way to be. Thanks everyone for coming in. If you could please like. In fact, you don't need to like this video. Go over to Twitter, like Nicolas' tweet about.
Don't reply.
Don't reply. You can reply to the SorareData quoted tweet. Reply to that one all you want, but just like his tweet. And again, if that tweet gets at least 2,000 likes, or I believe I said more than 2,000, we're going to give away some memberships. I don't know how many. It won't be 2,000, I can assure you that. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming, and we'll see you around.